So what are correlation coefficients? What do they mean and how to use them? Here's the basics that you will walk away with tonight. To be able to explain correlation as a number from -1 to +1 that shows how two variables move together. And I want for you to emphasize and remember the move together part because that's going to be really key. We'll get to that. Identify the direction, positive versus negative, as well as the strength. A correlation coefficient is going to have a direction and a magnitude to that number. We're going to read simple scatter plots and spot outliers, nonlinear patterns, be able to identify at least visually how to identify the correlation from the scatter plot. And then apply these examples to behavioral health situations, counseling contexts, and things like that. And then also avoiding common mistakes, the main one being that correlation does not equal causation. Okay, so those are the goals for tonight. All right. I was trying to think of a way of explaining correlation coefficients that makes sense. And I have to kind of think like I'm talking to my son who's a fifth grader. Like, how would I explain this to him? Okay, so imagine you're doing a popsicle stand, okay? And you're trying to track two things in order to know or anticipate how many popsicles you're going to sell. So we're tracking the temperature, how hot it is outside, as well as the number of popsicles that we're selling, okay? On hotter days, we sell more popsicles. They rise together. Temperature goes up, popsicle sales go up. That's a positive correlation. Colder days, fewer popsicles sell. That's also a positive pattern, even though they're both going down, because they're going down together. Remember, I said pay attention to things moving together. So we're wanting to pay attention to if both things are rising or both things are falling, that's a positive correlation. Okay. Suppose we're trying to decide if sock color determines popsicles. Well, there's no pattern to that. You can kind of see on this third little scatter plot here, right? Sock colors, if we label the sock colors down here, popsicles sold, it's all kind of scattered, right? So that's basically how correlations work, is we're connecting two different variables to see if there's a correlation between them. With positive correlations, the variables move in the same direction. So as temperature drops, so do popsicle cells. As temperature goes up, so do popsicle cells. Right? It's a positive correlation, whether they're both moving up or both moving down. We'd consider it a negative correlation if the variables are moving in opposite directions. So for example, as stress goes up, the amount of sleep you get goes down. That's a negative correlation. As stress goes down, the amount of sleep you're able to get goes up. That's a negative correlation. Those are negatively correlated. Does that make sense? No correlation would be variables are showing no consistent pattern. We can't tell from one variable whether the other variable is going to go up or down. That would be no correlation. Okay, I'm going to pause here. Are there any questions so far? Can y'all give me another example of a positive correlation? Lisa,
The more sleep you get, the more attentive you will be throughout the day.
yep, the more attentive you'll be throughout the day. How we would measure that attentiveness, would be, whether we would know if it's positively correlated, right? The more sleep I get at night, the fewer times I fall asleep. Would that be a positive or negative correlation?
Negative.
That'd be negative. As I get more sleep at night, the number of naps I take during the day goes down. Those are negatively correlated because they're moving in opposite directions. Sock color would be no correlation. That's correct, Cody. Okay. So that's the basic way of knowing whether things are positively or negatively correlated, is if they're moving in the same direction, they're positive. If they're moving in opposite directions, it's negative. Okay. So what is a correlation coefficient? Okay. the coefficient is a single number between -1 and +1 that tells us how closely those two variables move together. Okay, so if every time I took a step, I also breathed, that would be a perfect correlation, 1 to 1. Okay, we have the sign plus or minus equals the direction of the relationship. Positive, using the plus sign, as x increases, y tends to increase, or as x decreases, y tends to decrease. And then we use the negative sign, as x increases, y decreases, or as x decreases, y increases. Okay, so that's how we determine the direction is with positive or negative. And then the magnitude is determined by the strength of the number, the strength of the relationship. The closer the number is to 1, the stronger it is. The closer it is to 0, the weaker it is. And this is true if it's closer to -1, it's a stronger negative correlation. If it's closer to +1, it's a stronger positive correlation. Okay, here's a way of looking at this. So these are 3 different correlation coefficients, okay? We're going to say if it's about positive or negative 0.1, you see 0.10 is close to 0. Negative 0.10 is close to 0. So that's going to be a smaller weak correlation because it's close to 0, which is no correlation, okay? If it was plus or minus 0.3, we'd have a medium to moderate correlation. And again, if it's a positive number, it's a moderate positive correlation. If it's a negative number, it's a moderate negative correlation. If our correlation coefficient was plus 0.50, that would be a positive, a large or strong positive correlation. If it was plus or minus 1, that would be a perfect correlation, perfect negative correlation, or perfect positive correlation. Does this make sense?
Can you elaborate
Sure.
on how the interchangeability between the moderate to negative and then moderate positive to then going from large to strong positive? Like, I would
Okay.
assume once you're at 0 and you're on the negative, you would be negative and everything would be like negative, if that makes sense.
Okay. So this is where the scatter plots are going to help us to understand this, okay? We're starting with if there's no correlation at all, right? Number of popsicle sales is not correlated to sock color. There's no correlation, okay? But as we move in either direction, positive or negative, we're measuring how strong that correlation is, okay? If it's a really strong correlation in the positive sense, then that's going to mean that both things are moving up together or moving down together. As temperatures rise, popsicle sales go up. As temperatures decrease, popsicle sales go down. If that happens consistently and we can predict, there'd be a strong positive correlation. But if it's like, well, it seems like as temperatures go up, popsicle sales go up, but it's not so apparent, that would be a like weak positive correlation. And then again, if it's negative, it's because the two variables are moving in opposite directions. If if I have if every time I'm stressed out, I lose sleep, it's consistent, I can predict it. I can base how much sleep I'm going to get by how stressed I am, and it's very strong, then that would be a strong negative correlation. But if it's like, it seems like maybe when I'm stressed out, it seems like I don't sleep real well, but I can't really tell. That might be a weak negative correlation. I'm not sure if I'm answering this exactly. Yes, this is an error. Sorry, this should say large, strong, negative.
That's where my confusion was.
Okay, I'm gonna change that real quick so I can stop confusing people.
So
So
it is supposed to be negative.
that's what you were asking about.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
And I explained all that because I didn't realize there was a typo there. I just copied and pasted these as I was creating the slide and I just didn't change one.
Josh, I'm curious. Okay, you've got the perfect correlation of negative or one, negative one or plus one, or negative one or one. Am I okay?
Mm-hmm.
What if we had a question that went beyond either negative one or plus one? How, or is that,
It
or we're
won't.
staying as in regards to the correlation coefficient? Is this written
This
in
is
stone?
it. Yes, if you will not have a correlation coefficient that is less than -1, like -2, for example, and
Mhm.
you won't have a correlation coefficient that's more than +1.
Okay, so at this point, what I'm understanding is the closer you are to zero, the weaker it is.
Mhm.
Mid, you got it listed as 30 plus or minus,
Yeah,
and then 50 and above is
strong.
positive.
Well, strong because
Strong, or yeah. Yeah.
if it's negative,
Either negative or positive,
it's going to be
they're strong. The
yes.
strong 50 and above.
Hmm.
Okay. I think I got it. All
Yeah,
right.
50 and above for positive, 50 and below for negative.
Okay.
I'm gonna nitpick on some of the words here.
But still strong.
Still strong.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I
Okay.
could live with that.
Okay, good. Good.
All right.
Like it or not, that's the way it is.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna, Jennifer, what kind of question will we see using the positive and negative correlation? So we're gonna go through some practice questions here in a little bit, but you might see a question like, um, you know, a study of high school students um, on the amount of sleep that they got compared to their test scores indicated that there was a correlation coefficient of 0.6 as the amount of sleep they got increased, their test scores also increased. What is this? Is this a positive correlation, a strong positive correlation, a weak positive correlation, a strong negative correlation, or a weak negative correlation?
Would I strong positive correlation?
It's a strong positive, right?
Okay.
The amount of sleep increases, test scores increase. They're both moving in the same direction, so it's a positive correlation. And because the number that I gave you was 0.6, whatever it was, that's in the strong positive category. Okay. If we could just convince my daughter of that.
Would you memorize this chart?
I mean, you can if you want to, but these numbers are kind of arbitrary, right? This is just generally speaking, how to visualize what, small, moderate, and large would be. We would say that there's a strong correlation of anything over 50, and then the closer it gets to zero, it would be weak. You're not gonna have a question that is like identify the weak positive correlation, 0.15, 0.2, 0.3, or 0.7, right? You're not going to have to split hairs like that. It's going to be obvious which one is a weak correlation. Okay. Okay. So I've debated whether or not to show you this next slide because I don't want to add to confusion. There's a formula that we use to determine what this number is. You don't have to know the formula. You don't have to know how you arrive and how you calculate that formula, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. So you can tune out if you want to. If you're a nerd like me and you geek out about stuff like this and you sit for, 2 hours trying to plug data in to test it, you can take this and run with it. But here's the formula for determining, this is called a Pearson row when we're talking about correlation coefficients. And this is a plot of these data points. You know, as the temperature increases, so do the popsicles that are being sold. Okay. Again, you don't have to figure all this out, but this is how we would arrive at this near perfect positive correlation coefficient that's very strong. Okay. Basically, we're looking at each of these data points, looking at the average, how each one compares to the average. We're running through this formula. You don't have to know that, but just know that there is a way. Why? Yeah, Keisha, I know it. So just know that is complicated to arrive at that. You're not going to need to do those complications. Okay. So just, you can forget it. Okay. Cynthia's giving me thumbs up, right? That's why I hesitated to even show, because I don't want to confuse things even further. Okay. Are you good with not knowing that? Okay. So let's look at how this might apply in a behavioral health type setting. Okay. So here are some examples of positive correlations where they're both moving together. Therapeutic alliance quality, like how much of an alliance there is between you and your client. As that increases, session attendance also increases. Okay, the more aligned they are with you as a therapist, the more they're going to attend. As homework completion increases, symptom improvement also increases, right? So as our clients are doing their homework, their symptoms improve. Okay. As the number of sleep hours increase, mood also increases. Okay, so those would all have a positive correlation. Negative correlations move in opposite directions. So as daily stress increases, sleep quality decreases. If you're talking about group work, as group cohesion increases, the risk of dropouts in the group decreases. Those are negatively correlated. As mindfulness practice minutes increase, anxiety scores decrease. Those are negatively correlated. So don't think of positive and negative as good and bad, right? Because it's not good or bad, right? Mindfulness practice minutes increasing, anxiety scores decreasing, that's good, right? They're just negatively correlated because as one goes up, the other goes down. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Let's look at scatter plots. A tight line pattern is going to indicate a stronger relationship. An upward slope is going to be positive, and a downward slope is going to be negative. Okay. We're going to look at some examples of these here in just a minute. If there's a wide cloud, like they're all scattered all over the place, then that's going to be really weak. Whereas if there's a thin band, like I said, that's going to be strong. Okay. If there's outliers, like maybe there's a lot of really thin line, but there's one random, person here, that's going to pull the correlation coefficient either up or down or even flip the direction, right? So let's say it was really, really hot, but it was also downpouring, raining, right? So just because it was really hot that day, they didn't sell a lot of popsicles. That's going to change the results some, okay? Does this make sense?
Quick,
Yeah.
can you think like thin band positive or no?
No, thin band equals strong, because if the thin band is moving in a downward slope, then that's going to be negative.
And strong should be plus or minus 50.
Strong will be plus or minus 50. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead one slide here. See this scatter plot here? See how if we drew a line, it would be a pretty straight line. That'd be a strong correlation, right? But let me think of this one right here is all kind of scattered. It's still positive a little bit, but see how it says it's very weak because it's going to be closer to 0. Okay. So we want to look at if we could make a very discernible line from the scatter plot, it's going to be more positive, even if it's going down like this one is. That's still strong, but it's moving in a downward slope instead of an upward slope. Okay. So we'll come back to scatter plots in a second. Important thing to remember is that correlation tells us about togetherness, but not cause. So ice cream sales and drowning rates correlate because of the summer heat, but ice cream does not cause drowning, right? They correlate, but they're not causing one another. In counseling, therapy attendance and symptom improvement can correlate, but the causes may include motivation, support, treatment fit, right? There's a lot of causes, even though we can say there's a correlation. Okay. So for the exam, never conclude X causes Y from correlation alone. There's a lot of other factors that have to be considered. So your correlation coefficient can be misled because of outliers, like one extreme point can distort your coefficient. Nonlinear relationships like curves, like U shapes, or if it's oddly shaped, they can have a coefficient of 0 even when X and Y are related. Range restriction, if everyone has similar scores, for example, only severe clients, then your coefficient's going to be smaller. Or messy measurement, so low reliability reduces your observed correlation. Right. So you don't have to memorize all these, but just know that there's things that can create an inaccurate correlation coefficient. Okay.
Mom, you can put it back.
Let's look at some examples here. Okay. So a clinic tracks homework completion, which is our percent, and PHQ-9 change, so symptom reduction across 120 clients. And it results in a correlation coefficient of plus 0.46. Okay. Our interpretation of that is that there's moderate positive correlation. Clients who complete more homework tend to have greater symptom reduction. We're not saying that symptom reduction is caused by homework completion. We're just saying that those that complete tend to have greater symptom reduction.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Yeah.
I understand this. I'm just trying to understand, how did you come to the result of 0.46 by looking at that chart? Did you add and do the means?
No. Okay. So how we get to
0.6.
0.46
Yeah, I'm sorry, 0.46.
is with this fancy formula right here.
Oh, so that would be given to us, the result number.
Yep.
Oh, got you. All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're not going to have to calculate this or figure it out. Thank goodness.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't worry about figuring it out. It does have to do with these numbers, and if we wanted to, we could sit here and try and figure it out, but nobody wants to do that. You're not going to need to know it. It's a waste of time.
So Josh,
Uh-huh.
this is a positive correlation that would be considered roughly, if I'm understanding this correctly, strong positive.
So because we're under 0.5, we would still call it moderate.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Yep. Okay. So the takeaway here, useful for case formulation and program improvement, but it's not proof that homework causes improvement, right? We could say, hey, if you want your symptoms to improve, you know, people who do their homework, according to our research, it shows that people who do their homework tend to improve. We can't guarantee that's going to cause it, right? Okay. All right, next one. My bubbles got cut off here because of the chart. So in a group program, group cohesion ratings and dropout by yes or no coded 1 equals dropout, 0 is retained, produced a Pearson row or relation or a correlation coefficient of negative 0.38. Okay. The interpretation is that this is a moderate negative correlation. Higher cohesion is associated with lower dropout. It's not strongly correlated, it's moderately correlated. Can we see why this is negative by looking at the chart? They trend downward like this, like a downward slope. Even though we've just got ones and zeros. As cohesion increases, dropout decreases. They're not moving together, they're moving opposite. Dropout is decreasing as cohesion is increasing. Does that make sense? So what we would draw from this is to build cohesion early in our groups, and then we can reduce dropout. Okay, you tracking?
Would this be considered also a negative slope?
This is a negative slope.
Okay.
Yeah, because the lower numbers, the lower cohesion ratings have a higher dropout rate. And as cohesion increases, dropouts decrease. Okay. Okay. Last one here. So as sleep hours and daily anxiety score tracked for 30 days with a client show a correlation coefficient of negative 0.55. So our interpretation is that there's a strong negative correlation. More sleep tends to accompany lower next day anxiety. Okay, so we've got our sleep hours on the bottom, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 hours of sleep. We've got our daily anxiety score. So they took a daily anxiety test to score their anxiety. And when they got 5 hours of sleep, their anxiety was at an 8. As they got 6 hours of sleep, it was a 7, and then a 6. 6.25 hours, it was at a 5. And by the time they were getting 9 hours of sleep, their anxiety level was at a 2. You see how it's negative? As sleep increases, anxiety decreases. That's why we get the negative. It's a downward slope. Okay. And
I don't.
Go
I
ahead.
heard what you said, but it didn't register.
Okay. We've got a y-axis right here,
Okay.
which is our vertical axis, and our sleep hours is our x-axis.
Okay.
Okay. On the x-axis, it's increasing. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Those numbers are increasing.
Okay.
So as you increase sleep, what happens along our y-axis? Does it increase or decrease?
It decreases.
Right? So as x increases, y decreases.
So that's a strong negative correlation.
That's a strong negative correlation.
Okay.
It's strong because this
It's beyond 0.5.
it's beyond 0.5. And you can see on this plot how tight this line is, right?
Okay. Yes.
Because it's such a defined line, that's going to indicate a stronger correlation. We can't tell by looking at it that it's what the number is, but we can tell that it's going to be strong because it's not scattered all over the place like a cloud. Okay. Okay. So let's do these we're going to do these questions a little bit different, okay? I want you to name the direction and the strength. Okay, we're going to do each of these one at a time. So our coefficient is plus 0.62 between therapeutic alliance and session attendance. First, what is the direction, positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive.
And what's the strength?
Strong.
The strong.
That's strong. Good. It's positive, strong-ish. It's above 0.5,
It's
so we're gonna say
above.
that's strong, right?
Right.
And you can see as alliance increases, so does session attendance. They're moving in the same direction. Okay. Make sense? Questions? Okay, let's look at the next one. We've got our coefficient of minus 0.18 between daily stress and sleep quality. First, what's the direction, positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative.
Negative. And what's the strength?
Weak.
Weak.
Negative, weak. Very good. You see how it's not a straight like line? It's, you know, we have to kind of jump around a lot in order to connect this one to this one.
So would that still downward slope?
Yes, this would still be a downward slope. Because as stress increases, sleep decreases.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, last one. Our coefficient is plus 0.08 between minutes spent in psychoeducation and the PHQ-9 change. Okay, what's our direction, positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive.
Okay,
And weak.
That would be weak.
positive, weak, because look at this chart. If we kind of squint, we can see that it may be moving in the positive direction, but it's really not super defined. This is very close to zero, so it's almost, when it's near zero, right?
So would this just, how would you, is this like a cloud?
It's like a cloud, similar to a cloud, right? Because it's, could we draw a line and say that these dots are close to the line, like a straight line
In what direction?
No.
in any direction?
Yeah, if you go from those, yeah.
Okay,
But you have outliers that are part of that as well.
let me do this a little bit different.
Yes, Whitney.
That's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Okay, let me share my screen like this. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Video. We're gonna draw on this. Come on. Okay, so I've got a line here. Can you see my line?
Yes.
Okay. If it was strongly correlated, all of those dots would be very close and tight to that line. Okay. But because those dots are all kind of far away from the line, I might be able to draw a line and get two dots on it, depending on where I positioned it, right? But I'm going to miss most of those dots, which means that it's a very weak correlation. Okay. Does that make sense?
Correct. I guess I'm just trying to like identify each like kind of scatter plot. So would you say that would be a cloud then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's definitely more cloud-like than this one, right? Because here, if I drew a line, I'd be able to get more. Oops, fat fingers. If I drew a line on this one, those are going to be much closer and tight to the line than on where was it? Where was it? That one. Okay. All right, does that make sense?
Yes, a lot. Thank you.
Good, good, good. I want it to make a lot of sense. Okay. Oops. All right, let me go back. I keep moving my videos around. Okay, so that's a positive but very weak, near zero, right? 0.08 is very near zero correlation. All right, ready for some practice questions? Okay. A counseling researcher reports a correlation coefficient of plus 0.65 between mindfulness practice minutes and decreases in anxiety symptoms. How should this result be interpreted? A strong negative correlation suggesting mindfulness causes anxiety to decrease. A strong positive correlation suggesting that more mindfulness tends to be associated with lower anxiety. A weak positive correlation suggesting mindfulness may have little effect on anxiety, or a strong positive correlation suggesting anxiety increases when mindfulness increases.
B.
B.
Okay, why did you choose B?
I don't know. I'm thinking A.
I
Okay.
said B because the strong positive correlation, which is
50.
the 0.65, right? And suggests that more mindfulness tends to be associated with lower anxiety. The prior slide, you indicated that it doesn't mean that just because the mindful practice have the minutes, it's not necessarily. I can't explain it. How can I say this? Just because the mindful practice minutes has, is positive, and it doesn't mean that that's the cause of it being decreased in the anxiety, something like that.
Wait, I read it wrong. It's definitely like a strong positive. I think I got confused with the second portion because when I read the second portion, okay, that's a positive and like something's going up, something's going down.
Yeah.
It's associated, but it's not definite. Something like
So the question I think is it could have been worded better for sure.
Yeah.
That was my fault.
Josh, I observed what at number D being incorrect because it states a strong positive correlation suggesting anxiety increases when mindfulness increases, and the statement states that one increased while the other was decreased.
Right. Right. So
That's
this
good.
this
that's
kind
what
of
else wrong.
right. So this illustrates that depending on how it's worded and how the symptoms are being measured is going to impact whether it's a strong positive or strong negative. We know that if we're just going based off of what the number says, that it's strong positive,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So
because
what is increasing here?
the
If we-
mindfulness
The
practice.
mindfulness.
mindfulness practices. If we know this is a strong positive, what else is increasing because they move in the same direction?
Mhm.
It says decreases in anxiety symptoms, but that if
That
we had,
means that's a positive. That means that it's good that it's decreasing in the anxiety.
right. So what's
Oh.
implied here is that because it says the researcher reports a positive plus 6.5, that even though it says a decrease in anxiety symptoms, what's being measured is an improvement in anxiety symptoms.
Okay, so sir, I read it the opposite way because you said that when if they're not going in the same direction, like the mindfulness went up, but the anxiety symptoms went down, then it's a negative correlation. So you're saying this is a positive correlation because they're not measuring their improvement is a positive, like an increase, right?
So again, the way that it's worded,
The wording's throwing us off.
the wording's throwing you off. What from the question indicates to you that it's a strong positive correlation?
Because they both have positive effects.
Well, the number.
The number.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
Correlation
This,
coefficient.
Yeah, 0.65. That's the reason why I chose B.
right, plus 0.65. Okay. That tells us everything we need to know about the direction and the magnitude. Okay. So the wording here, we know that mindfulness practices minutes is increasing.
Right.
But even though it says decreases in anxiety symptoms, this is going to throw you off from the fact that it's a positive, strong correlation. Decrease in anxiety symptoms is an improvement
Yes.
being, but it's not written that way. So we have to know that because it's been reported that we have a positive 0.65 correlation, that it's strong positive. Okay. If we look at the two strong positive answers here, strong positive correlation suggesting anxiety increases when mindfulness increases. Is this correct?
No.
No.
We know it's a strong positive because that's the number that we're given, suggesting
So
that
there's a
more
lower
mindfulness tends to be associated with lower anxiety.
But when we're talking about decreasing in anxiety, that's our goal. Is to decrease. So that's a positive thing.
But
But
the
Like
question,
you have a
didn't
session.
you also say, Josh, that if it's above 0.50 or whatever, that means it's a strong correlation?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have to,
So
we
it's,
have
it's
to look
above
at,
0.5. That's the
right,
reason why I chose B.
right. It's because we've been given this number, we know that it's positive and we know that it's strong. Okay. The way that it's worded is misleading because our anxiety or our mindfulness practice minutes have increased and our anxiety symptoms have gotten better.
Yeah.
Josh,
That's what's not said here.
Yeah.
When it says
if
decrease.
if I may, Josh, it simply states in number D, it says that anxiety is increasing, whereas the question states clearly it's a decrease in anxiety. So
Yeah.
that's what prompted me to go with the B, strong positive, and because it simply says, you know, the anxiety, the mindfulness practice. Okay,
Well,
anxiety system is decreasing, where it is number D says it's increasing.
right. And that's another reason why I chose B, because it said that it was decreasing, and you said about the 0.50 being strong.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, when we're taking the test, we have to select the very best answer, right? And the very best answer is reflected because we've been given this number right here, that it's a strong positive correlation. If we could rewrite this and say R equals negative 0.65. If we said R equals negative 0.65 and didn't change anything else, what would be the best answer?
Let's see.
A.
Answer.
A.
Why would we not say A?
Strong negative suggesting mindfulness causes anxiety.
We'd have to change one thing about A in order for it to
Say B still.
The word causes.
Yes. Lisa. Was that Lisa?
Whitney.
Yes.
Whitney, you got it. Sorry, I couldn't.
Yeah, it's a correlation, but in no way does it indicate that it actually causes it.
Right. It doesn't cause.
It does. And that's what I was trying to explain. That's exactly what I was trying to explain. Yes.
You just gotta find the
words. Those words, they're gonna sneak up on you. We gotta read it carefully.
Y'all gonna make me pull my hair out again.
Okay. I'd like to see that, Henry. Okay. A study finds Pearson Row equals negative 0.52 between client stress ratings and hours of sleep. Which is the best interpretation? Higher stress is moderately associated with less sleep. Stress causes poor sleep. Clients who report more stress sleep more hours, or the relationship is weak and unlikely to be meaningful.
Oh boy. C. C.
I don't think it's D.
Oh, I gotta reread it again.
Why don't you think it's B?
No, D, like
Oh, D.
dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between stress rating and hours.
Why don't you think it's D?
I think it's D.
Because you think it's D?
I do.
Oh, geez, Michelle, oh boy.
I know. Don't be
Okay.
mad at me. I could be wrong sometimes.
We can disagree a little bit. That's okay. Let's talk
Well,
about
it's 52, that's higher than 0.5, so
But
it
it's
could be higher.
negative.
So it
right.
can't be weak.
So if it's higher than
Negative,
0.5,
the numbers are.
So that's not weak.
Well, it wouldn't be A because that says moderately and it's already high.
That's right.
And then you've got stress causes sleep. That's
And it does not.
absolute.
Well, it's not
I went
B.
with C. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna stick with. I might be wrong, but I'm going for it.
No, a client who sleep more have more stress. No.
Yeah, because it has that causes. We can't. I made that mistake last question. That we can't apply causation.
right? Can't apply
So
causation.
so it can't be B. Can't be B.
So it gotta
Higher
be D.
stress is associated with less sleep. I don't think it's A. Henry, I think it's C.
Oh.
I'm with you.
Client who report more
I don't know why I
stress
think it's
sleeps
D.
more hours.
Let me see. Let's try it. A study finds R equal negative 52.
Okay.
So that means one's going up and one's going down. So the
I'm gonna go with D.
I go with
All right.
I don't
I'm gonna
know.
reveal the answers.
Yes, go for it.
Okay.
C, it's C.
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
It's
Oh,
I
yay!
got it right.
How
Let's
could you
go,
go with
Henry.
moderately and it's 0.5?
I got it right. I just
Yes.
guessed.
what's the answer?
Right.
Okay.
Wait a
How
minute,
can
Josh,
it be
it is
moderate when 0.52
It is
It's
0.52.
strong.
That's supposed to be high.
Yes.
No, but it's a negative 0.52.
But it's still
but it's still
strong.
If I can say
0.52.
something.
Would y'all like me to explain it?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Please.
Okay. Okay. So we know that it's negative correlation, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So a study is finding that as what decreases, the other increases. What's
Yes.
decreasing and what's increasing?
The stress is
The sleep is increasing and stress is decreasing.
the opposite, right?
The stress is increasing,
Right,
higher
and the hours of
stress,
sleep
and then
is
the
decreasing.
sleeping is
Yeah.
decreasing.
So
That's a negative correlation.
the negative correlation is going to let us know that one of these increases while the other decreases. We could flip-flop them.
Between stress.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. We could flip-flop them. As stress increases, sleep decreases.
Right, don't matter.
Decreases, sleep increases, right? All that we're told is that we have this number between stress ratings and hours of sleep. We're not given any other information. But we can imply, because it's negative, that one of these is increasing and the other is decreasing. We can at least assume that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's use the process of elimination. Okay, that's going to be the best way to solve a question like this. We know B is wrong because why?
Causes.
Not causation.
Causation.
We're all on the same board. Stress causes poor sleep is not going to be the correct answer when we're talking about relations. Okay. Clients who report more sleep, more stress, sleep more hours. Why is that going to be wrong?
That's positive.
That's positive. Why is that positive?
Because they both
They both
reported more
increase.
sleep and more hours.
Right.
They go in the
More
same
and more.
direction.
Because they're both going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we have D, the relationship is weak and unlikely to be meaningful. Why is that wrong?
That's wrong. That's definitely wrong because it's not
Because
close to zero.
Because
It's
one is
not
going
weak.
up.
It's
No,
strong.
it's not weak. It's
It's
moderate.
not weak. That's why this
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's not weak. That's right.
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 Yes, right.
So
All right. You
even
made your
though
point.
Henry,
Okay.
that 0.52 it's actually less than 0.5 because we're going negative. It's still it's moderately strong, right? And remember when I said that these numbers are arbitrary, right?
Mm.
They're ballpark numbers, right? So
Oh.
0.2 is right there, kind of at that cutoff line that I arbitrarily assigned to it. But even if it was firmly moderate, it would, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that B, C, and D are clearly incorrect, right?
Okay.
So A is clearly the best answer because of the reasons that we identified.
All right.
So you know how on the graph, if it was 5.5, you take the greater number or the lesser number. So if that was like a 5.454,
Okay.
would that still be considered moderate because it's under
Okay.
the 5?
So I think you're talking about rounding,
Yeah.
and we don't need to do that because I think you guys are looking for like a more black and white way of defining weak, moderate, strong. And we have to think of those as kind of like ranges that are loosely defined and not think
Okay.
quite so black and white as having a clear cutoff. Okay. So around 0.5 is where we start to move into strong.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But setting that aside, do we understand why B, C, and D are not the best answer?
I
Yeah.
understand.
I believe
Understand now.
if it's okay, can you repeat the reason why A is
I
the
do
example?
now.
Like because the stress is increasing, so the sleep decreases, therefore it's a negative correlation. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So higher stress is moderately associated with less sleep. As stress increases, sleep decreases. That's why it's negative.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
So even, you know what? Even if B, C, and D, we should, well, I should have got that but that's the part of the exam that sometimes throw me because the rest of them are wrong. Because if you look at weak, like she said, right? If you look at the other two, we know those two are definitely wrong.
Right.
But just because of that one word,
Right.
it was like, okay, I couldn't figure out which one would have been the best.
Right. So y'all, this is why those answering strategies matter so much, right? Watch the answering methodologies. Use those strategies on the practice tests, right? If you're feeling like I kind of let it go for like a minute or two when everybody was just kind of talking and trying to hash it out. If it feels like that in your brain, pause. Remind yourself, I've got a strategy that I can use here that will help me think more clearly through this. Okay. If it's starting to feel overwhelming, go back to a method and a plan because that's going to help you think more clearly, right?
Mhm.
Process of elimination clearly identifies A as the best possible answer for this one. Okay.
And it's so weird because the work is not the problem. Knowing the information is really not the problem. It's applying it to the questions
Exactly.
is the problem.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to do one last question. No, I think I've got two more actually. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, maybe three more. I can't even remember. Which of the following scenarios would most likely yield a correlation near zero? Number of therapy sessions completed and level of symptom improvement, the client's shoe size and number of coping skills used per week, hours of homework completed and grades in a psychoeducation group, or group cohesion ratings and client dropout.
D.
Okay, so this one is B.
B had no correlation.
Yeah, this one's is most likely to yield a correlation near zero, right? What do client shoe size have to do with
The price of
coping
tea in
skills?
China.
Yeah, there's
Nothing at all.
nothing at all, right? If it'd be pure coincidence if there was a correlation there, right? Okay, good. Oh, in a large counseling outcome study, the correlation between alliance ratings and symptom improvement was Pearson Row equals 0.12. What is the best interpretation? This is a statistically significant relationship and proves alliance causes improvement. This is a small positive correlation suggesting a slight tendency for higher alliance to be linked with better outcomes. This is a strong positive correlation suggesting alliance is the most important factor in therapy. Or this is a negative correlation suggesting alliance hinders improvement.
B.
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 Okay, someone tell me why.
Because first of all, it's going to be small. So that takes out C and D
Okay, hold on. Why is it going to be small?
because we're at 0.12.
And that's close to 0.
Yes.
But it's also a positive number, so D is negative.
Right.
So then you left A and B, but A didn't talk about any regards to how the correlation was interpreted. So that's why B was the better answer.
Why else?
Causes an A through you. The A made that wrong.
A. Yeah. A says causes.
Causality.
Causes, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Good job, B. Very good, right? See, that's how we break it down. Okay, let's do one more. Counselor notices that as group cohesion increases, dropout decreases. The correlation analysis shows correlation coefficient of negative 0.40. What is the best interpretation? Cohesion and dropout are positively correlated, indicating a strong relationship. Cohesion and dropout are negatively correlated with moderate strength. Cohesion causes clients to stay in treatment, or there's no meaningful relationship between cohesion and dropout.
B.
B.
Moderate strength. That'll be B.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking C.
It's not A because it's not positive. So we know it's not A.
Okay.
C says causes, so we know it's not that.
Okay.
And you know it's not D because there is a relationship.
Yes,
It's
it
a-
is.
And
You're-
the strength is relatively
Good.
moderate.
Good.
Cohesion increases and dropout decreases, meaning people stay in treatment.
Right. As
Yes.
the group gets more cohesive, the number of people dropping out lowers, right? Increased cohesion, lower dropout. That's the negative correlation.
Mhm.
Okay, good. You guys just dissected that one really, really great.
What was the answer?
B.
B.
Okay.
It's bolded here. Okay.
Well, my
Okay.
box isn't working.
He's so
Yeah.
funny.
You guys got this. You can do it.